All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Ayes have it. It moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you.
That brings us to item number 11, which is House Bill 764 by Representative Davis. There's a motion and a second, and I'm showing a couple of, one amendment that we have to deal with first. It's Amendment 7360. Is there a motion and a second? Got a motion and a second on this amendment to put it on to House Bill 764. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. That amendment goes on. Now, to the committee, I would like to ask you this. We have an untimely filed amendment, and I'm going to ask for a motion to consider it due to the fact this is our last meeting, unless you want to come back. Oh, we've got all kinds of emotion now. All right. We have a motion to consider with a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it. Now I need a motion to accept it. There's a motion and a second. This is an amendment. Let me get the right number for you. 7425. Leader Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I don't want to step on your line, but if we could hear just an explanation from the sponsor of the amendment since it's late filed. It's probably in our system, but I did want to just hear a description if Mr. Chairman, you wouldn't mind.
That is fine. Sponsor, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. And so essentially what the untimely filed amendment does is when we were drafting the amendment of 7360 that rewrites the bill, there was some information that was not properly entered, and so we wanted to correct that. One of those was with regard to the date, that it's 90 days, that becomes from July 1, that those community oversight boards or those public advisory review committees have 90 days to reconstitute a board if they have one, and or just to make sure that time frame was correct. And then also with regard to the executive director, that part of when we were creating the language that matched up with the TBI, I had them review it to make sure that the executive director has to be have a background check not only from the Tennessee Bureau but also the FBI. And so we wanted to make sure that language was standard language, that the FBI would accept that. And what happened was we left off one of the subsections with regard to the drug testing for that executive director. So this amendment puts back into that qualification of having a drug test for the executive director, and then also corrects that date of 90 days.
Any questions? Okay, we're going to vote on adopting Amendment 7425. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The amendment goes on the bill. Is there further explanation that there is to explain your bill as amended now, please?
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, committee. And so essentially what this bill does as amended, it helps to create standards for these police advisory review committees. By imposing these statewide standards, it allows for a municipal governing body to create a police advisory committee that is adopted upon an ordinance of 2/3 votes of that city council or municipality. The purpose of the committee is to strengthen the relationship between the citizens and law enforcement agencies to ensure a timely, fair, and objective review of citizens' complaints while protecting the individual rights of local law enforcement officers. The committee will make recommendations concerning citizen complaints to the head of law enforcement. The committees will consist of 7 members appointed by the mayor and with approval of that governing body. This bill ensures that community oversight boards operate under the same standards statewide, and it allows law enforcement to conduct an accurate, fair, and valid crime scene investigation without interference by outside boards. And with that, I stand ready for any questions.
All right, you heard an explanation of the bill. Are there questions for the sponsor? Representative Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a community oversight board, and you want to eliminate oversight from other things. I think we should eliminate oversight from the state and let our locals manage this the way they see fit. I know that I'm pretty sure that this was initiated by Mayor Victor Ashe when there were some situations in Knoxville that were pretty intense, and it did a good job to de-escalate tensions. I think that this is working well, certainly in my city, and I don't see the need for the state to step in when, as far as the folks in my district are concerned, and my city, that this is working well, and I think that they would like to see it remain the way it is. And I don't think that we need to, as a state, be coming in and telling what our locals what to do. Thank you.
Okay, before you respond to that, I've got to take care of some business here that I need to, before we go any further. Without objection, I want to roll both of these amendments together into one amendment. Now, the second port of business is we have some folks to testify on this bill.
Well, Chairman,
but-
may I respond
yeah,
first?
you can get ready, and we will begin your testimony after the response from the sponsor. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to the representative, I greatly appreciate your comments because the language of this bill was actually adopted from Knoxville's Police Advisory Review Committee. And so I'm glad to think that you appreciate that it's operating well, because this is essentially the language from Knoxville, and we have grandfathered them in. So thank you for your comment. And Chairman, I'm ready for witness testimony now. Thank you.
All right,
Could I respond to that?
yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you talking to the city on this. Thank you.
All right, we're going to go out of session for testimony. We're out of session. Jill Fidert, is that correct? Okay. You're Executive Director of Metro Nashville Community Oversight, is that correct? Welcome, and please make sure the red light's showing there, and please state your name for the record. You a little bit further down, we can't hear you, and you have 3 minutes, and then it's open for questions.
All right, well, thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts today. My name is Jill Fitchard. I am the Executive Director of the Nashville Community Oversight Board. I want to start with saying that HB 0764 moves forward to abolish community oversight boards and instead creates a police accountability review committee, and this will be a sad day for accountability in Tennessee. Many Tennesseans, especially those in Memphis, are still reeling in despair and are traumatized from the brutal killing of Tyre Nichols at the hands of Memphis Police Department. Knoxville and Nashville have not been exempt with similar types of police brutality, and if left without a separate entity with the authority to independently investigate these instances of police misconduct, the police will continue to police themselves, which only builds suspicion and distrust of law enforcement towards those charged with keeping us safe. For instance, a 76-year-old African-American woman filed a complaint with our agency because an officer pointed a gun in her face when she went to pick up her grandchild from a traffic accident. She stated, "I now do not trust the police." Consider those words and what it means to stand on both sides of them. I know firsthand that policing is an inherently difficult job. Policing in a community where people don't trust you makes that job even more challenging and dangerous. Transparency and accountability in policing does not just help the public, it also helps officers who get into the field for the right reasons and honor their uniforms with their conduct, and there are many of those. 134,000 plus Nashville residents voted to amend the Metro Charter by creating a community oversight board with investigatory authority. There's been some misleading and frankly disingenuous information spoken over the last few weeks. On March the 29th, during a committee to discuss Senate Bill 0591, Senator Briggs stated, "I then contacted," or actually he contacted me, Director Roush of the TBI. The senator continued saying that certain community members would rush down there, the TBI, when there's a police shooting, and they were coming under the police tape, they were contaminating the crime scene, and really interfering with the proper investigation by an outside force, which is the TBI. And essentially, at least Director Roush said, Because this has never happened in Nashville, we emailed Director Rosh on April the 6th to get more information about the comment to determine when this occurred, where it happened, who are those involved, and what was the corrective actions. We have not heard from the director as of yet, and I believe that each of you should request more information about this allegation if you used it to make any determination on this proposed bill. If you do not vote no on this bill, your willingness to abolish community oversight boards and replace them with less accountability review committees will stand to erode trust between the public and police at a time when the need is to be focused on repairing it. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for our guest? Representative Hardwick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, ma'am, for being here. Thank you for the work that you do. So the main difference between what's being proposed and what we have in existence now for the civilian oversight boards, what do you see?
Well, it takes away our authority to investigate individual complaints. We would have to take a complaint that comes in and directly, within 3 days, send it over to the police department's Office of Professional Accountability or Internal Affairs to do the investigation. We wouldn't be able to make a discipline recommendation. So that's a very big issue for Nashville because our board is set up as a hybrid model, which is, by the way, a best practice. Based on cities that have consent decrees, they have used that hybrid model to help their police departments move further in the work that they're doing so that they won't continue to be on a consent decree.
Representative?
Thank you. And I dare say that if we had stronger civilian oversight boards, that I would not be working with civilians and community leaders, clergy, other elected officials right now in Memphis as a consequence of the Tyre Nichols murder to have the U.S. Department of Justice come in and conduct a patterns of practice investigation. We probably would have had this, some sense of transparency that would have had this revealed, these problems revealed, not just many years ago, but many deaths and assaults ago. So I share your concern. And I urge my colleagues to vote no on this, and let's let the local folks determine how they want to handle unlawful policing issues. And there's no stronger deterrent, I would suggest, than civilian oversight that has a degree of autonomy and independence. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions for our guest? All right, seeing none, we're going to move back into session. Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions for the sponsor of the bill? Question's been called on the bill. We're voting on House Bill 764. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Thank you,
Moves on
Chairman.
to
Thank you, committee.
finance. That brings us to item number